Howdy, folks. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. Well, we got a lot of news, a lot of little news, but a lot of interesting PTO stuff. We, during the summer, always talk about, PTO, 1-year contract or nada. Well, a lot of PTOs because a lot of players are out there, and I think it was like 5 or 6 of them today. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about an injury to a very high draft pick from the 2024 draft and a few other things. But we'll start with the pre-show. Go ahead, Russ.
Yeah, so something caught my eye the other day. I know the new Joker movie is going to come out.
Oh,
and we know
the one with Lady Gaga is yes.
Yeah. And so I think we all at this point, most of us would agree that Joaquin Phoenix probably one of the 5 best actors of his time.
Yeah. He's pretty damn good.
Solid actor. The interesting thing is, though, you forget, like, as we get older, he's 50 years old.
Sure.
Like, Cesar Romero was probably 50 playing the Joker on TV, but he didn't have to do anything. All he had to do is stand there, laugh, point at Batman, and then probably went cut. And if anything had to do anything else, Cesar Romero just didn't do anything.
Right. Well, Nicholson was old. He was in his 50s when he did.
He didn't do anything either.
Well, I mean, he did a little something, but nothing like not like Heath Ledger swinging from like a tether on a building, like in the Dark Knight or anything like that.
The problem, and Nicholson did not lose weight.
No,
he didn't do anything.
No,
Joaquin Phoenix had to lose a lot of weight, which again, once you get to 49, 50, it's hard, as you know.
I don't know anything about that.
No, I know. And he also had to do a lot of singing and dancing in this for the Joker. Like, this is the most demanding role the Joker has ever seen. Like, it's even taken it beyond what Heath Ledger did.
Yeah, I mean, granted, the Joker, and I didn't watch the whole movie because, the original Joker, the one that he won an Academy.
Yeah, it was good. I watched
it. Was good. It was good, but it was like it was so dark. And that's the problem. It's like how
can you have a light Joker? Like, the guy's a
killer.
No.
I know, but let me finish my thought. Okay. I mean, okay. I love the Christopher Nolan Batman series. Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises. They were fantastic. Ledger as the Joker was incredible. I like Tom Hardy a lot, but the whole, I can't even remember the name of the character. Bane, thank you, Bane. It was tough to when you have a conversation between Bane and Christian Bale as Batman. I'm gonna blow up the stadium. It's tough.
Which I was fine with, by the way. I was fine the fact that they were going to blow up where the Steelers play. I was all in on that as it gets me.
They didn't get Hines Ward runs for a touchdown and then they blow up the stadium. Why didn't you blow it up when Hines Ward? No, just I like Hines Ward, but the whole thing was that was about as dark as I wanted it to get. And then the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, who I think it took it to the next level, and he's just really sinister and really dark and deep. And now, like the new The Batman one with Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, I didn't like it at all.
I didn't like it that much. It was like 3 hours of darkness. And
it really was.
And now there's an 8-part miniseries on HBO with Colin Farrell as the Penguin. I
might watch that. I'm going to at least attempt to watch that.
But what am I saying is like we've delved into like it's like the bottom of the ocean dark. It's getting to the point where I just can't do it. So
yeah, I'm looking. Todd Phillips directed this one. I don't know him off the top of my head.
Todd Phillips is. I thought he directed the first one, didn't he?
Yeah, he probably did. But what else has he done?
Oh, I mean, a few other movies. Hold on, pardon me while I look up IMDb, but I know he's had a few big movies.
Please forgive me, but they gave Bob Kane a writing credit. Like, Bob Kane's a legend for Batman, but he died in 1998. Are they still pulling from his memoirs? Is that what they're trying to tell us?
Yeah. Todd Phillips directed the original Joker. He's also directed all of the Hangover movies.
Two of them were good. Was there a third?
Yeah, there was a third.
Yeah, that was awful.
And the movie Old School.
Oh, with Rodney Dangerfield?
No, that's oh God, no. Old School was with let's see here. Okay, so Luke Wilson. Oh, that was Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell. The one where Will Ferrell was running naked, and Vince Vaughn. They go back to school. That's
Back to School. I think was Rodney Dangerfield.
Yes, Back to School was Rodney,
that was good.
and a young Robert Downey Jr.
Right. So I guess he's done good movies. I didn't like all of them, but okay.
Yeah.
I will wait to see this, but I'll see it at some point.
Yeah. All right. We will start. Hello Hockey World. Today is Wednesday, September 11th, 2024.
Yes, and we remember every September 11th as we do. I'm Russ Cohen from sportsology.net.com and NHLDraftBuzz.com.
.net and .com?
Oh, yeah.
You covered all the bases.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm Michael Agello. This is the Hockey Buzzcast here on HockeyBuzz.com, and that's the reason why I paused, because it's tough to believe that it's been 23 years, because it does seem like yesterday. I was working at Bank of America, and okay, here's how long it's been, and here's the world we're in now. I was working at a bank. It was before I was working for Hockey Buzz. And I was listening to the Howard Stern show on a Walkman radio at work at my desk. And Stern was the one who said, well, a plane hit the World Trade Center. And they thought it was not a joke, but they thought it was like a private plane or whatever. They didn't know the extent of this. On my floor at the bank, 2 people had internet access. So we had an intranet. We had our computer system that we used to do whatever we did, but there were 2 people who had internet, and we pulled up like the NBC website, and they didn't even have streaming video, because remember 2001. This is like real player and things like that. It's like, and all we saw were like slide pictures, like one picture, next picture, and you saw one tower on fire, and then all of a sudden we saw a second slide photo, and the second one was on fire. And we're like, how did that happen? What's going on? Like, did the fire spread from one completely in the dark, not very, very old style internet, not very good. I had an AOL account back then. Yeah. And we were caught completely unprepared in a black and white TV in the cafeteria where everybody was standing watching, Peter Jennings on the news describe what happened. So it was just,
Yeah, I mean, all I can tell you is this. I was worried about a few people. My best friend went down there that day, but he was luckily not there yet. Mm-hmm. But you couldn't get a hold of anybody because all cell phones were jammed. After the fact, I knew some policemen that I met or knew that people were married to them, and firemen, same thing. And so, when I had just found out secondhand that, people needed like tube socks every day because they would just have to take them off, throw them out. And I sent like $100 tube socks to my friend's house, and he brought them straight there. But people were just bypassing the Red Cross. So I remember all of it. Because I'm from New York, there was a lot of connection. Luckily, nothing worse than that, but it was horrible. So, and it's just one of those days you remember. Like, it's just, it's one of those things, you never forget it. And yeah, I mean, my wife is reminding me, I'll say it only because she's reminding me that she was in Bakersfield, California, Mike, on business. Beautiful Bakersfield, as we've talked about.
Yes, lovely Bakersfield.
And I had to call her and let her know because it's on the West Coast, and she didn't even know what was happening.
Yeah,
she was sleeping, so I woke her at 4 a.m, and then we had to try and get her back to the East Coast. So lots of things that day.
Dave just said Michael just fired his agent online. No, sorry, I got a personal call. It says I had to call you back. So, okay. Anyway, let's get to the hockey stuff. And unfortunately, it's a memory that we will live. It will be something that
It will live in infamy. Yeah.
Like a previous generation was the Kennedy assassination, and a generation before that was Pearl Harbor. This was our Pearl Harbor. So, okay. All right. So, PTO news, wire to wire. The Maple Leafs, will start there, have extended a PTO to Max Pacioretty. Now, I have no problem with this because now everybody is saying, it's a PTO, but it's going to be a contract. Okay. It might be that because they're going to be over the cap, and I'm sure Treliving is trying to move a player out. It might be Nick Robertson. It might be Connor Timmins. It might be somebody else. But that's the reason why it's a PTO right now, because it doesn't count against the cap because it's a tryout contract. Do I have a problem with this? I don't, because it's even if it's a veteran minimum deal, even if it's $775,000 or $800,000, I don't have a problem with it because it's a free swing. I mean, if he's not good, then they send him down to the minors, or the contract is terminated, or he goes on injured reserve. If he's good, or if he gets hurt, and I hope that doesn't happen. If he's good, this is a free swing. It's a veteran minimum contract, and the guy was a good player, but he's 35 and he's had 2 Achilles injuries. So the likelihood of him being good after scoring 4 goals and I think it was 51 games is unlikely. But I think it's worth a shot, Russ. What do you think?
I don't mind the PTO. There's no chance in hell I'm signing him. We're talking about like 92 games in the last 3 years.
Right.
Of which in those 3 years, he had 26 goals, and 19 of them were 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Ted Starkey basically told us flat out he can't play anymore. And
I messaged
that.
Yeah, I messaged Ted and I asked him, he said the same thing that I did. He says it's worth a shot. He's a good guy. He's a good
yeah, he's a great guy.
He's a good teammate. There was a lot of talent there. The one thing that you can say is with injuries like Achilles injuries, it's like an ACL in the sense that it takes time for the player to bounce back. Now, he is 35, so how much of a bounce back is there? If they're expecting him to be like the replacement to Noah Gregor, and Noah Gregor scored 10 goals, and they're happy with that, that's fine. If it comes at the cost of somebody like, Nick Robertson in terms of playing time,
that would be awful.
Right, but the thing is, I think, I don't know if I agree with the analysis that Frank Cervalli put out there. He said that Robertson, after being signed, is likely to be traded. I don't know about that. I don't think if they get a good return for him, and he signed the deal, and I think he's got talent. If they get a return that's equal to his talent, then they might trade him, because then maybe he's not a fit with Berube. But I don't think they're just going to say, hey, we got to trade this guy and we're going to take a 5th round pick for him. No. He scored 14 goals in 56 games. The kid's got talent. He's a scorer. He could go someplace and score 30 goals. He's got that kind of talent. If you get a player in return or a significant draft pick, not a first, obviously, but a second or a third, then they think the Leafs would consider it. If they don't get that, I think they're going to keep Robertson. So
yeah, we brought up Robertson to the Stars, Dr. Cloutier, and it's just not happened. It's just not. I hope that this guy's a fan of Dan Cloutier, who was like the best fighting goalie ever, but he's probably not.
No,
I don't.
Well, I don't know if it's not a possibility.
They could have gotten him all summer. Like they're not doing it.
Well, I mean,
I mean? Like, I just don't think they're doing it. They could have done it all summer. My whole thing is, if they're going to get rid of him, fine. Like, if he just isn't going to play there, okay. If they're only taking Pacioretty because he's 6'2", then I got a big problem. And unfortunately, right now, my thoughts are with Brad Treliving is he likes the 6'2" better than he likes the 5'10". And again, having a lineup with all 6'2" guys does not make you the Vegas Golden Knights. I hope he understands that. I thought he would have learned that in Calgary, but I don't think he did.
Well, I don't think it's the 6'2".
It's a factor. If Max Pacioretty was 5'10",
okay. I mean, I know that the Leafs are going to the direction of they're a smaller organization and they want They want to bring in bigger players. Most of the players that he has brought in on free agent contracts have been, or he's traded for Cade Weber, or he's brought in, but he's also signed Quillen. He's also brought in, I think with Robertson right now, it's the fact that he's not a two-way player. That's the reason Keefe did not play him a lot, is because defensively he was not inept, but he wasn't strong on the puck. He gave up the puck in instances. So it's like, I think that was the problem. Now, maybe Berube will give him another shot, and I think there's a lot of talent there. If they don't, and if they trade him, then they have to get value for him. So just one other thing, because it's in the chat,
and then we'll go to the other thing. So in the last draft, who's the small guy in the draft that they drafted?
Well, they didn't have many drafts. Danford's not a big guy. He's only 6'1".
6'1". I mean, that's
they didn't draft. They didn't draft. Danford is not. I mean, if he was going to draft, if he was so
hold on, I'm going to give you a list.
Wait. If he was so fixated on drafting the biggest, baddest dude, he would have drafted Polkanen.
No. It's not the biggest, baddest. He doesn't want him under 6 foot. So here, Danford, 6'1". Victor Johansson, 6'1". Miroslav Holinka, 6'1". You think that's just a coincidence?
I think he's drafting the talent that he wants to draft.
Alexander, 6 foot.
Yeah, the goaltender is 6'4".
Goalie, 6'4". Give me the small guy in this draft. They don't have one.
Okay, so what?
Matt Leahy, 6'5". Because of what I'm saying is it's a bad pattern. Sam McHugh, 6'2". Yeah, that rhymes. Nathan Mays, 6'3". My point is, I could go through this draft, those last 3 rounds, and find you very good, chancy 5'10" guys. But he would rather have chancy 6'3" guys, and that's not always going to work out.
No, but I think he's overcompensating for the fact that for the last 4 years, the GM of the Leafs was drafting 5'9", 5'10" guys.
I get it, but that doesn't make the pool better because now we've got half small, half big. It doesn't make the draft pool better.
It makes it more balanced in terms of complement. You can have small players, but you need big players with them.
Right. Talented big players.
Yes.
Not
what they're doing here, Russ, is taking swings on bigger players.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They only took swings on big players. That's a bad draft strategy, and it definitely was a strategy.
Blame Wes Clark, because Wes Clark was the one who drafted.
Well, I mean, listen, the GM has the right to overrule anybody at any time at the table. And
he's gone now. So no, the other question in the chat, and then we'll move off the Leafs, was the Hakanpää thing. There's been no other than the I think it was Sir Valley or one of the other insiders tweeted out that they were going to move after they had signed Robertson. The next things they were going to take care of was Pacioretty and Hakanpää. There's been no news about Hakanpää's status, none. So we don't know. I mean, so right now, like the contract was not registered with the league. So if that's the case, then it's not an official contract. And if his knee is bone on bone, then he's not getting signed. Now, I'd like to know what happened where everybody was reporting he was signed, and then all of a sudden now he's not signed. So, I mean, Treliving has to answer that question. I mean,
I don't think he does. I mean, David Alter's written here that in his headline that they thought Pacioretty and Hakanpää were going to be added to the roster. So if they're talking about adding him to the roster, he doesn't have a contract.
Right. So that means if added to the roster, that means PTO. That means that that contract. Now, if that's the case, then fine. I mean,
I don't think that contract exists, Mike. That's what that tells me.
Right. And it's just bizarre that like everyone, like Pierre and Elliott.
Because on July 1st, it was like, defenseman signs for 2 years, $1.5 million. Well, it didn't happen.
Right. I mean, and that's bizarre because, normally, those guys, they get it from either the agent or the team or the league. And all of a sudden that contract has just disappeared. So it'll be interesting.
Point out he's 6'5" too. Go ahead.
Actually, he's bigger than that, I think.
No, 6'5". I looked it up.
Okay. All right. Shifting to smaller players. The Colorado Avalanche have extended a PTO to Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, who's 38 years old?
You know what? He can penalty kill. Yeah. Here's the thing. Because this is just my own personal feeling. Like, I know him pretty well, and he's a good feisty extra player, right? I think because he played in France, his mileage isn't that high for his age. He didn't have to go through the rigors of the NHL for a long time. Right. So I think on 38 isn't too bad for him. So I think this is smart because he could be a fourth line penalty killer who scores occasionally, like very occasionally, but he's good everywhere else. He doesn't hurt you out there. He doesn't make mistakes. That's smart.
Yeah. I mean, and he's been an effective journeyman player. Apparently he played in Colorado for a couple of years. He's played in Seattle. He's played in a few other places. So, he's well-traveled, experienced guy. He can fit in on a fourth line. It's not a bad move. And I'm sure it's probably league minimum. So, Colorado's got most of their money tied up in their big players. So that's understandable. A couple weeks ago, there had been reports that the Bruins were going to PTO Kaylor Yamamoto. That turned out not to be the case. And today he signed a PTO with the Utah.
Oh, that's great. That's great because that's just the kind of turning over a new leaf that he gets a chance there. I like that.
Yeah, no, 25 years old. I think he's got a lot of talent. I think the worst thing for him might have been actually going home because he went, he was in Edmonton, then he was traded, I think, through Detroit because of the contract. And then he ended up going to Seattle, or he got bought out and then he went to Seattle. Did not have a good year at the Kraken, was not a good fit. So, I think that's a good move. Now, okay. Gee, what a shot. I am absolutely stunned. Absolutely. That Travis Dermott got a PTO, and I'll give you 3 guesses if you don't know where he's. No.
Wow.
Where? Okay, he signed a PTO where? Oh, let me see, where his coach from the Erie Otters.
Oh, okay.
The Erie Otters best player in 2015 and the Erie Otters OHL MVP.
Yeah, he's following Chris Novak. Yeah.
Yeah,
that was my second thought. I thought maybe Dubas reached out because he liked them.
Yeah, but no, he signed a PTO with the Oilers, and I mean, again,
they have Connor Brown, they have him,
and McDavid.
They're missing a Radish. One of the Radishes played on that team too.
Yeah.
Taylor, I think.
Taylor Radish. Yeah.
So that's all he needs. And then that's pretty much the game I saw. When I went to Erie and saw them, he was the coach. Connor McDavid was there with the other guys, and they were playing Barry, and Aaron Ekblad was there. And that's why I went.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw them play. I definitely saw Radish and McDavid at the Top Prospects, CHL Top Prospects game, which was in Niagara Falls. And I don't think Dermott was in there. I think Dermott had already been drafted because he was a year older. But okay. No secret here. The Edmonton Oilers defense sucks. So can Travis Dermott make it as a 6-7?
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, Travis Dermott is what he is. I thought he was going to be better than he's turned out. I think he's an NHL defenseman. I don't think he's a particularly good one. I thought there was a lot more talent there, but I think he could fit in. This is a defense that's playing Kulak. It's like so. They
like
might be able to.
Feisty, I look at him as like a less feisty Grizzly or something like that. He's what is he 5'10", 5'11"?
5'11", and occasionally
he's a good puck mover, and that's fine.
And occasionally he'll throw a hit. So I hope he's a good kid. I interviewed him a couple times when he was with the Leafs.
He's like a Connor Clifton type. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, left-handed Connor Clifton.
Yeah.
Okay. So, this is on the injury news. I guess apparently during the NHL media tour, it was revealed that Artem Levshunov, who was picked second overall by the Chicago Blackhawks, has suffered an injury. He's in a walking boot and he's going to miss a few weeks. Now he left Michigan State. He signed a contract with the Hawks. So, I mean, the speculation was he was probably going to fit in on the NHL roster. But
I wonder when this happened, because he was at the photo shoot.
Yeah. It says he's expected to be in a walking boot and out for a few weeks due to taking a shot off of the foot in practice.
Yeah, because I was saying he was healthy at the photo shoot. Matter of fact, he was so into being interviewed. We were like, okay, thanks. He goes, that's it? I'll keep talking. So we spoke to him for like another 3 minutes because he really wanted to talk. So, yeah, that's a shame. I mean, I literally just interviewed him and saw him.
Yeah. A retirement in the league. Jordy Ben is retired.
Wow. Jordy. Yeah. I thought the Canadians would play him forever.
Well, I mean, and he hopped around from place to place, played with his brother in Dallas, played in Toronto for a year. I found this one interesting. Matt Larkin reported this. Robert Thomas, during the media tour, revealed that when the offer sheet was extended to Philip Broberg and to Dylan Holloway, that he was doing summer workouts with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. And apparently he explained that they were not too happy that the Blues had done that to the Oilers.
Yeah, I get it.
I get it as well, but I don't know.
Here's the thing. David Dwork, who we had on Off the Post, really good guy, covers the Panthers. He reported on the Hockey News that Roberto Luongo filled in for a beer league team in need of a goalie for a playoff game. So Luongo played in the beer league playoffs. That's fantastic. There's probably no better guy you could pick up off the street than Roberto Luongo.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sure he's better than David Ayers, but
yeah, I'm sure he's twice as good as David Ayers still.
In the career that refuses to end, the other PTO news of the day is that Sam Gagner has signed a PTO with the Carolina Hurricanes.
He's a good guy. Like, people like having him around. He always has speed, so why not? I mean, look, and this is a tribute to my writing partner, Adam Rader, who is a big fan of Dave Gagner, probably the biggest. He's just never going to be Dave Gagner, and that's okay.
Well, Dave Gagner was a pretty damn good player.
He was, and Sam looked like he was going to be that when he was on London. He was with Kane. Yeah. He was on that power play with the Kostitsin brothers, and he had a couple good first years, and then it kind of, it tipped a little. Here, are we going to talk about the signings?
Yeah, you go ahead.
All right, so this one's a good signing, the Adam Larsson signing. The Kraken get him 4 years, $21 million, but there's a lot of finagling in this contract, a lot of it, and I don't know if this article even details it. I got to look it up.
I mean, Puckpedia had it as a flat 5.25 for.
It's not.
It's not. So it's all bonus, or is it deferred?
No. It's not that. It's just he gets paid different amounts in different years. There's some things going on with it. Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I mean, maybe that was just the initial. I mean, I'll take a look at it, but the way because I'm the one who inputs some contract information on the website. Yeah. And let's see here. Sorry about this, folks. We're doing this on the fly.
I was told there's some things going on with this.
I got it. Here we go.
Yeah, they don't have it though.
Yeah, no. Okay. The first year is a $4 million signing bonus.
Right. That's one thing, but that happens.
Yeah, but then the rest of it, it's a $6 million cap hit first year, or money paid out. $4 million a signing bonus, $2 million base, and then the rest of it is a flat $5 million for the next 3 years.
Yeah, there were some other things, like his no trade and such. But wait, hold on. Yeah, so I don't know. There was something else that people were telling me about, but I guess maybe it didn't come to fruition that way. But it's a good contract, and at 31, that's a contract that a lot of defensemen are going to get, like Cam York for the Flyers. Even though he's better offensively, because he's not been in the league as long as Adam Larsson, this is the kind of contract the Flyers will probably sign Cam York to, as an example.
Well, and we welcome Jan Levine to the show. Jan, I mean, I saw when I looked at the Larson deal, I mean, he's not the guy who I thought who the Devils thought he was going to be, but he's traveled around a little bit, Edmonton and now Seattle. He's a solid defenseman, but he's a right-handed defenseman. I mean, he's a good defenseman, but he's not a great defenseman. But he's getting a little more because he's a righty, and there are not many good righties in this league, and that's why he got over $5 million.
Plus, he also fits perfectly with Vince Dunn, right? If you think about Dunn being the more offensive-minded defenseman in Seattle, the pairing with the two of them has been a solid pairing. And I don't want to equate it because they're different kind of players, but if you look at like Ryan Lindgren as well as Adam Fox, right? The two of them have a chemistry together, and we'll have to see what happens after the year. But Larson dovetails nicely with what Dunn provides them. And he's got a little bit of offensive skill, not tremendously. But as you said, right-handed defensemen normally will get a little bit of a premium. 4 years at a little over $5 million, mildly surprised by the dollars, but not overly surprised. And again, we also have to recalibrate our thinking because the cap is rising, right? So what we thought 2 years ago as in terms of a number now has to be upgraded slightly because of the fact the cap has risen and the likelihood it's going to rise over the next couple of years as well. So what's $5 million now is probably maybe $4 million 2-3 years ago. So not really an overpayment by that consideration.
Yeah.
Here's some key stats. So second in block shots on the Kraken, 151, 162 hits.
Yeah.
At one point, he played 343 consecutive games and 245 out of 46 for Kraken. Like, super available.
Solid.
Big guy. That's
solid defense.
He's like the new Goodbranson. He's better than Eric Goodbranson now. He's like a younger, better Eric Goodbranson.
He's more mobile than Goodbranson,
yes.
but Goodbranson's more physical. But
right.
But no, okay. So like, I'll just make the comparative. I think, like for the two teams that I cover, there's a lot of talk. Elliot Friedman's been mentioning that the Leafs are very interested in extending Jake McCabe. Jake McCabe is probably on a 4 or 5 year deal. He's 30 years old. He's probably going to get into the 4.5 to $5 million range. And if he stays healthy, he's been really good with the Leafs. I don't have a problem with that. I think that's probably, he's an above average defenseman. He's physical. He plays well. That's probably par for the course for McCabe. Bowen Byram's a completely different thing. He's got 1 more year in a contract. Now he's under control. He's a arbitration eligible RFA after next season. The Sabres this is a guy with a lot of talent, Russ. I'm telling you, he's going to be $6.57 million. And if they can't pay him, then they're going to have to move him.
Yeah. Byram, if he reaches his potential, like you're talking about at least a 50-point defenseman and a guy who could play 21 minutes a game.
I mean, Jan, I think the Sabres plan is to play Dahlin with Samuelsson because that's been the pairing with them for the last few years. Putting Byram with Owen Power on your second pairing, that could be phenomenal for the Sabres.
Kind of interesting to see which one becomes the more offensive defenseman out of the two. I think we had high hopes for Power offensively after that first season, and he kind of morphed a little bit more into a defensive type player last year because that ended up being his focus. And Byram offensively hasn't necessarily panned out to the level where Colorado thought they were getting, which may have driven partly in terms of the desire to move him, and also they seem to have a pretty healthy stable of defensemen already. But yeah, both of them can play nicely off each other because they can alternate in terms of who's the more offensive defenseman, almost shift by shift and situation by situation. They both have the capacity to put up 40 plus points. It'll be interesting to kind of see where they both end up contract-wise. Granted, Byram's got a little bit more term than Power does right now and a little bit more flexibility because he's ARB eligible. But be kind of interesting to kind of see in terms of what ends up happening between the two of them down the road in terms of how each of them both pan out in terms of, and also is Byram a right side defenseman or left side defenseman, right? I know Byram signed it, Power got a big deal. I'm curious to see if Byron gets that kind of money. I don't think they're going to go close to $7 million a year for him though.
Well, no, and that's my point. I think that if they can't pay them that, then they're going to have to move them. But they have 4 lefties on their top 2 pairings. That's so more than likely it's going to be. I know Power played the right side a little bit last year. Darlene has done it in the past. 2 of them are going to have to play the offside because Henry Yokiharu is not a top 4 defenseman, and Connor Clifton is not a top 4 defenseman. They're both righties. So I don't know what it'll be interesting to see what Lindy Ruff decides to do with that. Now, I just want to switch to the Rangers with the defensive talk. I mean, I look at this situation because you mentioned Lindgren. I mean, he's got a year left before UFA, $4.5 million. Miller is an RFA, arbitration eligible after this year. He's making less than 4. And then you got Trouba with 2 years left at 8. I mean, am I wrong to say I think they're either going to trade or buy out Trouba after this year to pay for those 2 other defensemen because they have to sign them long term?
I think you can separate the two thoughts. So Trouba buyout or trade. Well, the trade potentially was going to happen this year, right? We all know the chatter and the conversation that supposedly happened with Detroit, and we've gotten information that maybe it wasn't as close as was first reported. Right. But I would say that Trouba getting bought out after the year is almost I wouldn't call it a lead pipe cinch, but a very strong likelihood.
Right.
Flip side is Lindgren. Clearly, the question with Lindgren is term and dollars. I mean, look, I'm not going long term on Lindgren. I'm one who is a believer that he should be brought back. I'm one who believes that he pairs nicely with Fox. And I know people say that, Fox would be better without him. And I'm not quite sure if 100% that would be the case. I think people underestimate the chemistry that exists here. Lindgren is slightly undersized. He's not a big defenseman. He takes an inordinate amount of punishment during the year, which is what causes him either to play injured. We call him RoboCop in New York because he's always seemingly coming back from every injury. My view last year was a 4 to 5 year deal in the $5 million range would have been perfectly acceptable to me. I know there are a lot of people who disagree with that view and think they can't go more than 3. I think Miller coming back, I think Miller has shown, and I'll let Russ go into this a bit more, signs of what he can be. He just has never put it all together. There are times we see him be great offensively, and he'll have stretches where the forward that he was in the past before he became a D-man comes out. And there are times where he uses his stick and his positioning, at a time his strength, to be a good defenseman, but he doesn't put it all together enough. So I'm thinking they're going to try to go short-term on him, because I think they're concerned that going a 6-year type deal at big money may not pan out well at the end of that deal.
Yeah, Russ, if they bought out Trouba after this year, his base salary is $6 million. So 2/3 of that's $4 million spread over 2 years. That would be $2 million cap hit. That makes a lot of sense if they're bound and determined to move on from him. And believe me, if they do, there'll be teams lined up for Trouba as a free agent, even though, depending on, I mean, I still think he's a good defenseman. I think it's more the fact that they have to pay these other guys, and, they're probably after the contract is over with, they probably wouldn't re-sign him. But what are your thoughts on the Rangers?
Yeah, I don't think they'll re-sign him, but I don't think he's getting bought out either. I think Trouba will be there. I think they're walking Lindgren to UFA. I think they're walking him straight to it because they could have paid him this summer. They decided not to. That's their choice. Like that seems like they've made a choice. So that's fine. I think they're going to mistakenly give K'Andre Miller too much money because he's not a number 2 in this league. He's 24 years old. He's going to be 25 in January. His top year was 43 points. He's good defensively. He's not physical. He's a good puck mover. He plays good minutes. He's a decent defenseman. He's a little better than NHL average. He's not a special defenseman. So in my mind, I'll offer him like 7.5 by 5. But if he doesn't take that, then I'm giving him the 2 years, like Jan said, and you're going to have to prove it to me. But I think it's a mistake with Lindgren, but it does, from what people think and are telling me, they think they're walking him straight to UFA, and that would be a mistake. But look, I'll be honest. I don't think Chris Drury has made great decisions in the last couple of seasons, trade-wise and otherwise. And this is going to matter a lot if the Rangers are to get to the Stanley Cup. Like, this is where these decisions are critical now. And like Jan said, like, Fox and Lindgren have played together probably for a decade in other leagues and otherwise. Why you would ever even consider breaking that up, and this is why you don't want to put this guy in the open market. I don't care how injury-prone you think he is. He's always there in the playoffs, and he always shows up. He may miss a game here, he may miss a game there, but this guy shows up. He is like a Kevin Lowe light. He's not Kevin Lowe, but he plays that way. And you know what? You win with those guys. So that's my feeling.
So, Mike, let me add a couple things. So, and also, as Russ kind of pointed out, their system is bereft right now of upper tier prospects defensively, right? They have Victor Mancini, who's probably their best right-handed prospect, who's risen up the ranks, but not ready to be more of a third pair guy at this moment. Their third pair right now is Trouba and Zach Jones, and Jones really isn't ready to move up. Second pair is Schneider and Miller, and Schneider has also showed signs, but also has really not put it together. He's had stretches where he's not necessarily been great. So, and their system, Fortescue is a guy who's probably a bottom pair guy, maybe, and Russ can correct me. And they like Emery a lot, EJ Emery, but he won't be ready for several years. So let's say you buy out or trade Trouba and you let Lindgren go. You've now lost 1/3 of your blue line, which the bottom pair is questionable to begin with, and you don't have anybody in your system you're replacing him with. So you're going on the open market, which is why I thought if they had bought out or traded Trouba, I would have signed Matt Roy long-term because I thought he would have been a perfect replacement and a guy who would have been a great fit as a first or second pair D-man. Maybe there'll be other guys next year, but you're basically, as you said, Drew is going to have to make tough decisions and really improve their D on the open market, which is not always the easiest thing to do based upon decisions he's making now and next year.
Now, the hot button thing, sorry, Mike, is that Philip Hedl, Capo Caco. They have to figure out what's going on with all of that.
Yeah. The other
and Alexis Lafreniere and Igor Shesterkin.
No. Lafreniere.
I mean, salary-wise, in terms of
no, but I'm not worried about that. He could play in the league. I don't know if Caco can play in the league, and I don't know if Hedl can stay healthy. That's right. What I mean.
The other minor bit of news, Jan, I wanted to ask you about was Adam Ernie on a PTO. Is that something that you just think it's just a body, and or do you think he could make it on the fourth line, play with like a VC or somebody like that?
It's another fourth line option, in my opinion. He ends up going to Hartford and is a veteran down there. I mean, they have so many fourth line guys right now that they could. I mean, I think they're obviously clearly penciling in Matt Rempe potentially to have one of those spots. I mean, as you said, Jimmy VC is another one, and Carrick is a guy they're probably going to use, especially for the penalty kill. Yeah. And then, there's guys who I want to see, Brett Barad and Adam Sikora, who are right now in their rookie camp. Those are two energy guys who I think will get a shot at being more instigators. And if a guy like Brennan Hoffman ends up making the team on the third line, you can shunt somebody else who's on that third line down to the fourth line as well. So there's a ton of options. Adam Ernie isn't a guy who really moves the needle to me in terms of he'll get a shot, but I don't think he has a tremendous shot in terms of making the team out of camp, barring a lot of injuries.
Yeah, it was sort of like the Steven Lorenz PTO with the Leafs. It's like I don't think he's going to make the NHL roster. If you're talking about him going to the Marlies or something like that, then yeah.
No, but people might show up to the AHL games and see him. He's a local Connecticut kid. He might, fill in a game or two. Like he knows how to play in the NHL. He's just when he was scoring 40 goals in juniors with that wrist shot, it was great. But his speed never got better, and the release never got faster. So it's what happens sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, the two guys I assume you covers are Pacioretty and Yamamoto, the two PTOs. I mean, Pacioretty's already a lock. I think Yamamoto's got a pretty good shot at making Utah.
Pacioretty's a lock is laughable. But anyhow, yeah, you got your
Jesus, Ross. I mean, my God.
I'm not the one who said it.
I said Ross.
Wait. I'm not disagreeing with you, but everything that's been reported, he's all but a lead pipe cinch to break camp with that team.
I don't disagree with your report. I'm saying it's dumb.
I agree with you. The speed is no longer there. I'm not disagreeing with you.
And the thing is, though, okay, there's a reason it's a PTO. Yes, okay, they can say anything they want to about it being a lock. If he's playing preseason games and he looks like a lummox, then that's going away.
He's not going to look like a lummox, Mike, but this is like buying
then it's worth a shot.
Like buying a secondhand couch. Would you really do it?
No, because I don't want my cushion. I don't want somebody else's ass cheeks as a cushion. No. But that's
too much mileage on this guy.
Yeah, okay, I agree with that. But I think it's worth a shot. Last thing, Elliot Friedman reported on the weekend that the Anaheim Ducks are beginning to explore options on trading Cam Fowler. Now, I think he's still a good defenseman. He's 32 years old. He's got 2 years left at $6.5 million. I wrote about 4 teams that potentially could be in on Fowler. Number one was Carolina. After Carolina has been decimated with losing Brady Shea, losing Brett Pesce, they replace them with Sean Walker. You've got Orloff and Brent Burns on the final years of their contracts. I think their defense is terrible now. It was one of the best in the league. Now I think it's extremely weak. They could use a Fowler. Now, obviously, Anaheim in any one of these deals, because cap space is very limited. Fowler's making 6.5. They're probably going to have to eat 50% to get a good return. But okay, Carolina was one. Edmonton, because Edmonton's defense sucks. Detroit.
He can't play defense. He's not a good defenseman. He's a very good offensive defenseman, puck handler, power play guy, but he's not a good defenseman.
He's not a good defensive defenseman, but he's a veteran. He doesn't make ridiculous mistakes.
I don't know.
The problem with your first two teams is
Anaheim needs to be worse.
Even if cap space is eaten, they're really tight against the cap, and trying to fit Fowler at 3-point-something million is not going to be easy.
Right.
I like Cam Fowler, but he's a one-way guy. He's like Tyson Barrie at this point. He is.
Oh, I think he's better than Tyson.
I mean, he's better offensively, but he is Tyson Barrie. Like,
yeah,
look at all of his numbers, you'll see.
Detroit was another one. I mean, this is a team right now, and he's from Windsor, and Pat Verbeek was the assistant advisorman in Detroit, so there's connections there. But they're playing Justin Hall. They're playing. They have Oli Mata. They have they signed the almighty Eric Gustafson.
Yeah, they could use him.
They could definitely use him. And who knows? I mean, I think they're going to get Sider signed, but the other team was Toronto. Now they added Tanev, they added Ekman Larson. Russ, I could see them trading Liljegren in a deal for Fowler, because that is.
I just wouldn't do it.
Well, no, but listen to me. In terms of the reason that they're trading Fowler is not because Fowler is not good. The reason they're trading Fowler is because he's 32, and by the time that they're good, he's going to be 35, or he's going to be a free agent and he's going to be gone. So they want to trade him someplace where they can get a young player back, so get somebody younger who fits with the age range, the time frame of that team. And Liljegren's 24.
Liljegren, they'll click their heels getting him, Mike. But I'm questioning, how is Fowler really going to help Toronto? He doesn't play great defense. But they need defense for them.
But they need puck movers. They've got one good puck mover, and his name is Morgan Riley. There's only one Morgan Riley. Ekman Larson's okay. Tanev is a defensive.
Ekman Larson can still move the puck. He can.
Yeah, but they've got one or two puck movers. They need him. I think they could use Fowler. I think Fowler would be.
I mean, the thing is, Anaheim's just got a ton of defensive prospects in their system.
They do.
So they're going to want to probably use Luno and guys like that. So I'm not sure if getting Liljegren's nice, but I'm not sure if that's going to be what they target to get back in a deal.
Yeah, they're loaded.
Yeah, I mean, they probably want to, but I think they're loaded at forward too. The problem is they're just all young. Which is what the end state goal is, because figure in a year or by the end of the year, Gibson is probably going to be moved, so Dostal can be their number one, and they're going to look to play the kids. Yeah, they'll probably hold on to Gibson until the deadline.
The guy will be moved to be Vetrano because he's a free agent after the year.
What was that, Russ?
In another year, they'll have Zellweger there probably full time. They'll have Luno there full time. I don't know. I doubt that trade happens. I get it; it would work out for them, but I don't even know why the Leafs would make it. I wouldn't do it.
No. I'm saying I'm theorizing. Yeah, this is not a rumor. This is me theorizing. But
no, I get it. I think Detroit makes more sense. I do.
Yeah, I do too.
And they got a ton of cap space, though.
And right now they do, but
right now until they sign Sider and Raymond.
Yeah, here's the thing though. You bring in Cam Fowler, Sider's signing a lot quicker.
Yeah, probably. All right. We will be back probably on Monday with another edition of the Hockey Buzzcast. For Jan Levine, for Russ Cohen, I'm Michael Agello. Thank you for watching, and remember, without the buzz, it's just hockey.